Hi everyone, Choice here. Thank you so very much for joining me again for another session of Choice Spirit, Truth Beyond Perception. And to this topic about health, I've been putting off for a while because it's when you don't know firsthand, you don't have the knowledge firsthand. But all of us, or many of us, have had some type of battle with something, and we know that if someone tried to tell us while we were in the midst of that we actually created it, number one, that we actually called it upon ourselves somehow, some way, that's the first thing that's very touchy. The other thing that's very touchy is to tell them that they can change the condition, maybe depending on what's going on internally, depending on where they are mentally. But to tell someone that they can actually reverse it, that they can change their condition, their health condition, is another story. The other thing is when you're telling someone that they actually have the power within, that they were given the power within to heal themselves, what happens is there was some things going on that call forth the experience, and we don't often know what that might be. We don't know what it is, and we don't know why. The most wonderful person we know as having to deal with these things, these various health issues. But then there are others where you can see why how they may have called forth such conditions by the way that they speak. Because they're always noticing other people with health issues. They're always speaking about people with health issues. They're always talking about this is what they talk about. And so what happens is they begin to pull that into their lives. There's others that sympathize. They sympathize, and it's meant to be compassion, but the compassion somehow turns into sympathy for the individual, and they're observing it as that way. I believe it was said that you cannot see the sick. You can only see them in a state of wellness and well-being. Because if you're observing the sickness, then that means that is what you're calling. That is what you're calling first for. But if you only see them even though they're going through something, but you still see them as healed and healthy and strong and well, that's equivalent to a prayer. Not only is that equivalent to a prayer, it's a evoking, a speaking over of wellness for that individual. But if you can only see that individual and call them as sickly, then you are not being an instrument of well-being for them. You have to be able to see them well and healthy. And so, if not, that also, in a way, when you are sympathizing with them and observing them in a certain way, you are adding more power and emotion. Remember, I talked about emotion. You're bringing power into that it is. So make sure you're bringing power into the healing or the well-being or perfect health. You're putting your energy towards that. over and beyond what we believe we see. What we believe we see. We have to call on that that's not seen. That's not seen. It's not seeing that's believing. It's believing and knowing that will then bring forth the healing. You cannot pray for someone seeing them sick. You can only send out something seeing them as already perfectly healthy and strong. And like I said, you don't know what's going on internally, the internal dialogue of that person, what their internal or subconscious beliefs. Remember I told you subconscious beliefs run you, and you don't even know what's running you. And sometimes some of that stuff that's in there is calling on these issues that the person is having, and they don't realize that it's there. Maybe they saw something when they were younger. Maybe they experienced something where they saw something and felt a certain guilt about it, a feeling perhaps that they're not worthy of being healthy. We don't know. It can be any way. But when you tell someone who is going through something that they have the power within to flip it, to change it, when they're going through some of their darkest days, that's not an easy task. So I avoided tapping in on this topic. I'll go into it a little further, but my eyes only see the greatness and the wellness and the well-being of all people. In my eyes. So I prefer not to speak on that other stuff. But everyone has to have their experience. Everyone has to go through their pathways. And the milestones along those pathways is where the wisdom is where the knowledge grows. And with the knowledge opens the doors to wisdom. And so perhaps those experiences, the experiences that that person is having, is only leading them to, greater wisdom and understanding. Namaste. Peace. Choice here. Thank you so very much for another session of Choice Spirit joining me. Thank you.